God is good.
All the time.
And all the time.
God is good and that is nature. Wow.
Well, I'm very excited to be back to this beautiful place. There is something beautiful about this chapel. You get here and you feel something unique happening. You know, whatever is happening around us here. But then you get to this space and you feel some kind of sanity, peace. And I count you very blessed to be having this position, to having this chance and to have this space. I hope you use it well. I would like us to reflect on the gospel, which is a very beautiful gospel. It has many beautiful lines, but I would like us to actually concentrate on the part that Jesus says, "You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you, so that you may go forth and bear fruit." From time to time, we hear people say, or we have heard people say, that my parents did not plan me. I was an accident that no one expected. And we have heard parents having these discussions, especially if you happen to be behind, like a last born. You might catch your mother by, you might overhear her saying, "I didn't plan to have this kid. I had two were enough, but this one came. He was an accident." Those are statements that people make. It is also possible for a firstborn, because maybe you might have come when your mother was in school and you were an accident. And we hear these conversations. But what many parents don't know is that those kind of conversations really affect people. When you sit down and think that my parents did not plan me, but I just happen to have been an accident, it pains you. And if you are not careful, that can have an effect on us, so that every time we walk around, when we have a problem, we remind ourselves that in fact we were an accident, we were not planned. And I think so many children outside there have been shown that. We see people doing abortion because they feel that they did not plan for the baby. But the fact is, this is not an excuse. It will never be an excuse. Ephesians chapter 1 verses 4, Paul tells us that before the foundation of the world, God chose us. He selected us. He called us out. Before God created the crust of the earth and formed those different layers, He had us in His mind. He had us in His plan. None of us is an accident. And it doesn't matter what is happening in our lives. Might be sicknesses, lack of peace, might be other things, but we are not an accident. And I think this is what Jesus is reminding the disciples. He is just about to leave in the upper room and He is talking to the disciples. They are all scared. They know Jesus is going to desert them. He is leaving. He's going somewhere. But in their imagination, they think that they are going to be alone. But Jesus is reminding them that my love for you did not start yesterday. It did not start the time He called them to be His disciples for the 3 years. But it started way before they even knew Him. And He called them out for a purpose. Just like He has called each and every one of us for a purpose. And so it means God is calling us, each and every one of us, to be in His team. If you look at a football team, every person in the football team has a role to play, true or false?
Sure.
They all do. Sijui they are midfielders, sijui they are sijui where. Everyone has his part. And so it means if we do not play our role, something is going to go amiss. In Holy Cross Family Ministries, all of you are here. and you happen to have been chosen by God to be in this ministry among so many people, so many Christians in the church here, so many people in Nairobi, but you guys are here because God wanted you to be here. And so it means that we should have the very best version of ourselves in whatever we do, that we know we are in this position because we were ordained before the beginning of time to be doing this at this time. If God has other plans for us 3-4 years from now, well and good. But for the time being, we are going to be the best versions of ourselves because He chose us. Sometimes I see people who wallow in self-pity. You know, somebody, and especially the young, you are ministering to the youth, they are told you are not good enough, you are not brown enough, you are not tall enough, you are not educated enough, you are not connected enough. And so you see these children walking every single minute with this pity. I don't come from the right tribe, I don't belong to the right gender, I don't belong to the right race. And we will see it. That is why. Why do you think people bleach? Because you are told you are not brown enough. So go and look for something to bleach your skin so that you can appear better according to the world standards. And people are going through that. Others are literally starving themselves because you have to be like number 11, yeah? You have to be like this to be attractive. Others are doing funny things to their teeth because your dental formula has to be so white so that you can make people happy when you smile with very white teeth. And people are doing funny things. People are doing funny things because the world is telling us you are not enough. You are not better enough. But Jesus is telling us, I called you the way you are. And I chose you, I ordained you with a purpose. And that is why the psalmist tells us, he said that I am fearfully and wonderfully made. If you look at Psalms 139, 15-16, David declares that God's eyes were fixed on us, not only when we were in the earliest stages of our being, but even before we were conceived in our mother's womb. And this is what he says. I would like to read this passage from Psalms 139, 15-16. He says this, my substance was not hid from thee when I was made in secret, and curiously wrote in the lowest parts of the earth. Your eyes did not see my substance, yet being imperfect. And in thy book, in your book, all my members were written, which in continuance were fashioned when as yet there was none of them. Our hands, our fingers, our eyes, every part of our being, even before we were conceived in our mother's womb, God had them in mind. He fashioned them before any single of them came into being. So according to David, God knew us when we were nothing more than mere substance. If you want to make chapati, you need unga, true or false? So, but before which is planted in the gardens and harvested, you can call that substance. And the final product is chapati. And if you are a chef, you are preparing chapati, you know that for me to prepare chapati, I would need these ingredients. God saw you. He saw each and every one of us as ingredients. And then he fashioned and put us together and we became who we are. So, my brothers and sisters, we are enough. We are enough. Just the way we are. We are enough. And especially when we remain in him. He's telling us, love one another as I have loved you. He declares his love even before we love him. Have you ever had something like that? Someone declares his love before you even get to know them. He declares his love for us even before we know him. And he's asking us in the long run to also go forth and spread that love. So this is your ministry. to go forth and let people know that God loves them. Let people know that they matter. Let people know that they are enough with Jesus. Let them know that God had them in His mind before the foundation of the earth. And for that reason, help them alongside yourselves to become the best version of what God purposed them to be. The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.